Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis Media once again, and welcome back to another game review. And this time, I finally get to talk about this game. This is a game that I never thought I would actually beat, mainly due to how the game plays out. But anyways, this is going to be my review for The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. Yep, I have both the N64 Gold cartridge and the 3DS remaster. And I'm not really gonna say which one I beat on. I mean, it would probably take me a million years if I could beat this on the N64. So 3DS, yeah, it's easier on the 3DS. I mean, it's still a bit challenging, but now, anyways, The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. You know, I'm a massive Zelda fan, and I want to try beating every single Zelda game that I could. The one I'm probably never gonna beat is Zelda 2, but anyways, with Majora's Mask, it is basically 2 years after Ocarina of Time. Link is young, and what happens is the moon is really close to Earth, and it's basically gonna take Link 3 days to live. Basically, everybody has 3 days to live until the Earth or the moon crashes on Earth, and basically everyone dies. So basically, you have to rewind time each time in order to figure out how you can get the moon to basically go back up to space. And you basically, that's the simple premise, and you're basically never going to see a Zelda game like this ever again. You do have a time limit, and it's pretty much what makes this game very unique. You have a 3-day time limit, but here's the thing: there is a lot more side quests than there is main quests. What I mean by that is there's more side quests than dungeons. I basically spent more time with the side quests than I did with dungeons. Some of them are pretty tough, but you know what? They're so rewarding in the end because you get so many masks, and once you collect all the masks, you get a very special mask that makes the final boss fight too easy. I mean, basically, if you want to go fighting Majora, which is the final boss, then you're either going to die a lot. If you do die a lot, then hey, at least you got a new mask, but you have to attain it in order to get. You first need to get all the masks, and all the masks. That's one thing I really need to talk about is the masks. The masks are super helpful. They have. You're basically wearing a superpower. You can turn into a Goron, you can turn into a Zoro, a Deku Scrub, and they're basically like ones that you can easily put on like that. Like there's one where you can run fast, and there's one where you can march, and people will start marching with you. Or that usually works with baby chicks. There's a bomb mask where you can explode anything, basically making normal bombs just useless, and plenty of other masks. And I found myself having a lot of fun with them. And in terms of the side quests, they're basically due to some really, really excellent character development, and I found myself caring about the characters a lot, except for one, and that is Tingle. I do not like that character at all, in my opinion. I find him an overrated character. I just don't like Tingle, okay? I think he's even worse in Wind Waker because, you know, I don't know, I really do not like Tingle. But you know what? He's only there. You don't have to do a side quest for him. He's just there to give you masks. Or, no, not masks, just maps. Excuse me, maps. And in terms of other things, the music, it has one of the most fantastic soundtracks to any Zelda game. I mean, seriously, the Song of Healing is one of the Zelda themes that is never going to escape my mind because of how excellent it is. And I love the town music too. I might like it a bit more, or it might be on par with the Kakariko Village music. Here's one thing that's kind of different. You don't really see Zelda at all. The only time you see Zelda is in a flashback. And you don't fight Ganon or Ganondorf. Ganon and Ganondorf, they aren't mentioned. Zelda isn't really mentioned either throughout the game, at least when I was playing the game, which is really unique. It's a lot different from any other Zelda game I've played. So you know it's a lot different from Ocarina of Time. The only thing that's not different is the graphics, since they're both N64 games. You don't turn into an adult, except when you wear a certain mask that makes you feel like an adult. And let's see what else. I already mentioned how excellent the character development is. Now, what I really found unique is the Skull Kid. The Skull Kid is the one that's probably the most iconic in the game. It's that when he wears the mask, he's just insane. But here's the thing: it's the mask that's making him all crazy. Deep down, he's still a good person, but ever since he will put on the mask, it's just been terrible for him. He's just doing crazy things. And now, what I really like is that the ocarina does make a comeback, and you do once in a while you need to rewind time in order to start things over. And that's another thing I really like about the game, is that the Ocarina of Time is actually very useful, despite it being Majora's Mask and not Ocarina of Time 2, because it isn't really Ocarina of Time 2. I mean, it is the game that's next in the Zelda series. And alright, now in terms of the dungeons, there's only 4 main dungeons. My least favorite one is probably the Great Bay Temple, because unlike the Water Temple, I know the Water Temple is confusing and all, but it's a lot easier. Well, not a lot, but a bit easier on the 3DS remaster. But the Great Bay Temple, I do not feel like I'm in control at all, because there's a certain area where you have to. I just found it a bit more confusing than the Water Temple. Like, it just got on my nerves in terms of where you're supposed to go. I mean, it is a bit easier if the current wasn't moving you in certain directions, taking you into the wrong rooms. Like, that just got on my nerves. But the game can be a bit confusing on what you're supposed to do, which did have me in suspense a little bit, because really, if you get that game over screen, it is going to probably scar you for life. It is just really deeply disturbing, but it's one of the most memorable Zelda moments. I never got game over, actually, mainly because I was pretty. Some of the side quests were pretty hard for me to do, so I just had to look up what I had to do, like, easy as that. But you know what? As long as I beat the game, I can say that I can finally gush about it. I think this is an amazing game. Despite not having the most dungeons, I can say this is, without a doubt, one of the most memorable in the series. And it took me a really long time to actually fall in love with the game, because it just, because of its 3-day cycle, its 3-day time limit. Like, I did not know entirely what to do, but now that I've officially been in the game, I can finally gush about it, because this game truly is amazing. For N64 graphics, they still look outstanding. I have played the N64 version, and it's still great. And just all that I basically mentioned. It also has a very good amount of heart to it, believe it or not, because of how much of the characters are very well developed. My favorite one would probably have to be the one between this man and a woman, and the man is super young, and you have to basically get them back together because they haven't seen each other in a really long time. It just really hit me really hard there. And after I finished almost everything, I felt super satisfied. Overall, The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask is a fantastic Zelda game. I'm glad I finally got to finish it so I could talk about it, because it's a game that's going to stick with me for a really long time, and I can see why some people would say this is better than Ocarina of Time. I personally prefer Ocarina of Time. Yeah, call me unoriginal, but Majora's Mask is one of those games that will definitely stick with me for a really long time. Maybe once again, I'll probably play it again, because I nearly completed everything. It's just there were 2 pieces of heart that were kind of hard for me to get. But you know what? It'll totally be worth it. I'm going to give The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask a 4.5 out of 5. Yeah, I was this close to giving it a 5, but besides the Water Temple and, Tingle, and sometimes it can be a bit confusing for me, it was... That's kind of what is taking it away from getting a perfect score from me. But you know what? 4.5 out of 5 still feels like 5 out of 5 in my book. But you know what? I think it definitely deserves it. If you're a really big fan of the Zelda series and you have not played this game or even heard of it, you need to play it. I know that's probably one of the most unoriginal things to ever come out of me. But you know what? It really is an amazing game, and I'm glad that I played it, and I'm glad that I beat it, and I'm glad that I finally get to talk about it. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will have, I mean, you know, I'm gonna have more videos, so I don't really need to repeat myself. I guess all I can say is thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Word out.